Hey, I'm Sean Callagy of Callagy Law, and I'm here on a very exciting day today with Tom and Rob. I'm going to introduce them in 1 minute. But what we're here to talk about is the Callagy Results Formula and how it all works. And this is, a lot of times people think that there's this world of hype, Kool-Aid drinking, or just like excitement about producing results. But we're here to talk about the science of producing those results, and something that I created after studying personal development now for almost 30 years of my life. And I didn't create this from scratch. This is the recipe that was essentially distilled from spending $500,000 on personal development programs since I was 27 years old, and spending a little bit of money even in my teen years on it. And that's what we're here to talk about, because a lot of times, in the shorter videos that we do, we can't get all this out. So to my right is my partner, Tom McGregor. Tom, how are you?
Good,
right. And Tom runs our medical revenue recovery division that's recovered over $300 million for our clients. Recovered $50 million last year. Tom is one of the hardest working people I've ever met in my entire life, which is an interesting segue to who Tom is and who you may be. Maybe. Tom was the guy that put his nose to the grindstone, as he would define it, worked incredibly hard his whole life. He was editor-in-chief of Law Review at a prestigious law school, worked for one of the most prestigious law firms in New York and the world, quite frankly, at the time. And Tom, though, would have been somebody who would have seen probably some of the things I did in the early years as not necessary for him, not important. How would you have seen that, Tom?
Sure. About, a lot of hype, a lot of cheerleader type of activity, which to me always represented a lot of fluff and not real nose to the grindstone type of substance.
And things that you just didn't need. So
Right.
It would almost, fair to say, you might have seen as something that people who had some deficiencies would need.
Probably.
But not you.
Yeah.
Fair?
Yeah,
Right?
I think that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, a realist.
Mhm.
Would you say that's how you perceive yourself?
Yes.
Okay. To my left is my friend. What's up?
Hey,
Robert
Sean.
Gill. Rob is the founder and president of Epic Wealth Advisors, which is, for all of your financial planning needs, it is an engineering and mastery level program of one-stop shop. Do everything that you could potentially need in that world, which is a huge and necessary thing for people. I've not recommended in my entire career anybody in this world and field until Rob. Is that a fair introduction, my friend?
That's a very fair, and thank you.
Okay, I
Yes.
appreciate it. So now, Rob, and this is really fun to be shooting this video. We're here to explain this formula to you. But what makes this some fun contrast here is Rob, on the other hand, will be somebody who's more of a believer. He gets himself excited, gets fired up. These guys are in a group text together, and Tom and I were talking at breakfast this very morning. He's like, dude, I'm not texting like everybody in the thing, like I love them, and it's just like, it's not me. And Rob's like, I love you, Tom, I love you, Tom. Tom's like, hi, Rob, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like what's going on a
Tom,
daily,
I love you.
right? That's going on a daily basis in the morning. So these are two very successful people, right, who come from very different perspectives on it. And we want to really delve into the formula and let these guys help me do it and share some of their own unique perspectives.
Yeah.
Fun?
Yes.
Good.
Okay. So here's the story. I'm going to try to do this in about 15 minutes or less, which in Sean Callagy time probably means like 2 hours. I'm kidding. Maybe 20 minutes. But my outcome is not to give you something quick here. My outcome is to give you the framework of a formula that can literally help you produce any result in your life. It's a bold claim, okay? The genesis of this entire program was in the beginning and the early stages of my own personal development. I call it stage 2 of my personal development. Was in my late 20s, when I was about 27. I quit my job at one of New Jersey's, actually I was 26, quit my job at one of New Jersey's largest and most successful law firms. I was a top round draft pick. Actually, they told me their first draft pick. All kinds of wonderful bells and whistles. They were thrilled to have me. I was thrilled to have them. Couldn't have been more excited. I was one of 5 people selected out of 3,000 that applied. Right? That's a hard job to get.
Yeah.
Right? Out of 3,005 people, it was one of the toughest times in the New Jersey legal job market, the national legal job market, which was 1996. Things were tough. And I was really happy and thankful to get that job. So when I told my family 6 months later I wanted to quit, and I was the first person in my direct family line to go to college, they thought I was nuts. I had $100,000 in law school debt. I was 5 out of 3,000, that applied, got this job. I had landed, they were happy, life began. And now I'm gonna throw it off the rails. And what happened was I realized that there wasn't the right growth. They didn't believe in the same things that I believe. Not bad people, right? Maybe when I told the story a decade ago, I would have been more harsh towards them. I've become a little bit more empathetic in my understanding of human nature. I've looked at my own mistakes and shortcomings. So I'd say that they're good people, right? You know, at the heart, but the structure wasn't there to help people grow and develop and to give to them. So I decided to leave. But I didn't know how to leave. I didn't know what to do. So I went out with a great chiropractic friend of mine named Chuck Berg. Love Chuck. I've honored him and acknowledged him at events that we've had. You know who he is, right?
I've heard his name.
Yep. And so he introduced me to a book called Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. Pause. When I was 16 years old, I started working with a sports psychologist by total happenstance. The guy became a teacher at my school. He ran a $10 program on peak performance in athletics and imagery and visualization. I did it, and the results were mind-blowing. And for purposes of keeping this video short, I could tell the story for hours, and I could give you a ton of social proof, which is a word that we use a lot, about it, and the things I did and the things that happened. But the bottom line is it was pretty miraculous and magical, and I almost couldn't believe the transformation. Interestingly, though, for the next decade of my life, leading up to leaving this law firm at 27, I would sort of like connect in and connect out, connect in and connect out. And I didn't have an understanding of how important, as foolish as this now sounds, I had no idea how much that gentleman helped me. His name was Mike Bagley, by the way, Dr. Michael Bagley. He was a former minor league baseball player, incredible human being, and that was a major transformation in my life, especially in reflection. It helped me in the moment, but I didn't really harness its power and ability. So as I'm 27, I start reading, the book was Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins, but then I read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, and on and on and on. I began to read books, go to programs, spend money, and what I became somewhat concerned about or frustrated was that, quite frankly, I was getting results. I was finding my way, but I was looking at a lot of other people going through the same seminars and the same programs, and they were not. And that bothered me. Now, for a lot of people, like, what do you care? Well, I don't know. I happen to really care about people. I'm not saying I'm wildly competitive, right? Get in the way of justice, and I'm going to take your head off, right? And that's a big mission. So I'm not proclaiming to you to be this simply, purely, at all times, altruistic creature. But at the same time, I do care massively about people who want to get results and can't. And I think most people do. So back then, I do care about all people. So I started thinking about what is it that's different. Even going to these seminars I'm going to, they're really productive and helpful, but it's not like a formula, and I understood formula. I understood that if I got in the weight room and I was lifting in college and I would get great results and it was helping me in baseball, and I understood that. I understood you do X, you get Y. And if you don't do subcomponents of X, then you're missing things. So I'm like, why is it that all these different people write these really long books? Or forget about long books, they write 50 books. God bless them, Zig Ziglar is beautiful, helped tons of people. But I was always a little bit troubled by like Zig Ziglar's 27th book on sales closing. I'm like, what about the first 26?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't, Tom, you took geometry, I presume,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have like 27 different geometry textbooks?
No.
Right? Like not 27 different ones, like different brands of it, but
Right.
27 different geometry, like books that you're told you had to read all 27.
Yeah, they're all saying this. All the books are saying the same thing in 27 different ways.
Absolutely.
Right.
Right. So I was like, there needs to be like a textbook. There needs to be like, this is it. So I set out in my late 20s to prove this stuff did or didn't work. So long story short is I go out and I start building my first law firm. I create my own law firm at 28. And I'm building that law firm. And I decide I'm going to use it as a literal science test incubator to see if all these principles work or not. And they did. And all of a sudden I have 40 people working for me. And all of a sudden I have a beach house. I had $100,000 in debt. I was completely broke. And I lost $250,000 in the stock market at that time. Right? And all these things still worked. It was absolutely unbelievable. From debt starting on my credit card when I was in my 20s, saying, who is going to hire me as a lawyer? Rob, if you have a problem, you're going to hire some 20-year-old lawyer and pay them a retainer to go like do something significant for you? Are you going to do that?
No.
Are you?
No, not
Right?
likely. Yeah.
Right? So I had all these challenges to overcome. So if I could do this in my 20s, anybody could do anything. And I used, one of my big models at the time was Tony Robbins. I'm like, if that guy could have no college degree and certainly no higher license, and he can go out and he's speaking to millions of people and coaching presidents and doing everything because he learned it himself. Well, heck, if I'm a Columbia graduate, I graduated from law school with honors, yeah, I think I can go do this and overcome some of these objections if Tony Robbins did that. And that was a great and a truthful model for me, frequently, and he is to this day. So all this is going on, and I begin to create this results formula. I build my law firm, I sell it successfully, I become a certified coach, and I start writing this thing, creating my own coaching program in the early 2000s. So with that said, I want to pause right here, and I want to involve my friends for a minute, and I'm going to tell you what that results formula is and say, if we met at a bar,
Right.
over dinner, right, and you're you, before we ever met, you know nothing about me, and I just told you that whole story, right, or how about this, you're in a room where I'm going to tell you, I can coach you and help you and introduce that story, because there are people watching right now thinking like you did.
Right.
What are you thinking, honestly? Straight up, what are you thinking?
I'm-
And I mean be raw and real.
I would say, number one, I don't really need a coach. Number two, I'm willing to listen to what you have to say, but if you're going to tell me it's going to cost me something, I'm not interested, because as far as I'm concerned, I can teach myself whatever I need to teach myself.
Awesome. And would you potentially think, what else would you think about the material itself? You'll listen, but would you have some jaded sort of, more a thought process
Yes.
that potentially would have,
Yeah, I'd be cynical. I mean, as somebody that had a certain level of success already, I would think that sounds great for people that need to be picked up by the bootstraps and start, getting off the dole and starting to get out there and do things. I've already been there, done that. I don't really need the lessons.
What do you think today?
Today, I think there's not only a lot to learn in the area of setting goals and achieving goals, but there's much more of a formula that can be brought to bear that can enable that to happen.
Okay. Rob, what would you have thought if you're sitting in that room? Thank you, Tom.
Well, I would have, the first time I saw you speak, I didn't know anything.
Yeah, so let's
about
take
you.
us to that room.
Yeah, so that's a realistic, that's a real story. The first time I saw Sean speak was at an event down in Monmouth County at Rooney's Crab House last September 2017, and I had just gotten done my 4 days of UPW, Unleash the Power Within, and Tony Robbins that was in Newark. And as soon as I heard Sean speak, and he got a great introduction from a former client, it was a $27 million or $33 million litigation jury verdict. That didn't mean as much to me as the words he was up there talking about, and everything I heard was high-level coaching, Tony Robbins, entrepreneur. That was what was registering with me, and I couldn't wait to meet him afterwards. I took a beeline right for him. Didn't know anything, and I still don't know anything about his specific success formula. Can't wait to hear about it.
So this is the amazing part, right? This is the amazing part. Rob feels those things, and Rob's been to a bunch of events that we've been to together. And Rob is kicking some serious butt, doing awesome things, as is Tom. But it's interesting to me that Rob's like, yeah, I don't really know what the success formula is. And I've talked about it at different events and seminars. So what the takeaway first is, this is like teaching you your multiplication tables. It's not so complicated that you can't learn it rapidly, but it is really important to commit to like 8 times 8 equals 64. Like you know it like that, right? And that's what we're talking about giving to you now. Fair?
Yes.
Okay. So here it is. The first way that we determine all of our outcomes is by our wheel of life. We divide our life up into 8 different areas. And this is the overview of the success formula. To teach it to you fully in depth at a mastery level is a 50 hours of training. By the way, I'm not selling you anything. These are the things that you're going to learn on the videos that we do here at Callagy Law. Like, this is what we're offering. This isn't a sale. This is to help you understand why you would want to work with us and the value of what's going to be in it for you. So first, you have this wheel of life where your life divides up into the different categories of your life. You can do it right now. If you want to do it, follow along really quickly on a piece of paper. You would have your career. You would have your intimate relationships. You would have your other relationships like friendship and family. You would have your spirituality. You'd have your health and fitness. You'd have your finances, right? And by the way, you want to divide your life up into the areas that make sense for you, your contribution, right? So I could tell you what those 8, I suggest 8, because you could sort of combine. So health and fitness could be separate. Maybe you distinguishing between your diet versus your exercise regimen. Some people put it together. Whatever is 8 for you, because it works to turn this thing into a pizza pie. And each of those 8 different areas is a slice. So make up those areas, what they are for you. And then you begin to rate yourself on your own scale of mastery in those areas. You rate yourself. So it's finances for Rob, he rates himself, right? For each of the different areas, in that area, and then the other areas, and contribution and spirituality. And then what you do is you now have essentially a scorecard, a dashboard, whatever the phraseology, like a way that you can look at numbers, like you look at a scale when you step on, like you look at a bank balance. You now have where your life is according to you. Critical moment right now coming up. So that's the wheel of life, is the beginning of giving a picture of your life. And by the way, if everything's a 9 or an 8, and your relationship, your intimate relationship's a 2, that's going to be a challenge, right? Or let's say everything's wonderful and your finances are a 2, it's going to be a challenge. So the whole idea is to realize that having these areas all in check meets your human needs, gives you fulfillment, gives you those things that you want and need to feel, okay? Longer discussion of those things, what that all means, but it's going to make you feel the way you want to feel, happy, fulfilled, peaceful. We can do a dissect on that. We're not going to right now, giving it a formula. It begins with the wheel. In addition, every one of those categories can break into sub-wheels. So you can have your 8 different divisions of your finance, your 8 different things for an intimate relationship, date night, conflict resolution models, quality time, alone and separate time, whatever that breaks down to you in formula. Making sense?
Yes.
Making sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yep.
So, what that then does is you're rating where you are. Let's stay with just the one wheel, because it can get really crazy really quickly. One wheel, right? On that one wheel, you're then going to rate in each area what your goals are over a period of time, say the next 3 months, or end of the year, whatever it is for you, to get to from a 2 to a 9, from a 6 to a 9. And here's that critical thing I haven't said yet that I have to tell you. For everyone to understand this, it is not about I'm good at that or bad at that. It's not about yes or no. It's where am I on this scale of mastery, which is rated inside the wheels. Your scale of mastery is in each of the spokes, the pizza slices of the 8 inside the wheel. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to set your top outcomes to get from your 2 to a 9. So let's say it's your intimate relationships. You want to go from a 2 to a 9. It's okay. Learn learn and agree to a conflict resolution strategy that works, proven to work, right? 2, engage in a deeper level of empathy and love on a daily basis for my partner, whatever the top 3 are. Then for your finances, then for whatever. But here's the key. If you're a 5 and go to a 7, that's a significant piece of progress. If you're 7 and go to an 8, it's a significant piece of progress. But as you raise up the scale of mastery, the results become more and more exponential. So the difference between somebody who's a 9.8 and a 9.9, the value of that gain from a 9.8 to a 9.9 is going to be more significant than your gain from a 4 to a 6. Let me give you a quick example. Tom and I had this conversation at breakfast today. I have an endless number of examples. But, now stay with me. All we've done so far is give you a wheel and explain the importance of moving up the wheel and saying that there are exponential returns as you rise up the spokes of the wheel. You with me, Rob?
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
With me out there. Stay with me. So, as we talked about this, let's take DJs in New York. Disc jockeys. All right, I did this with Tom this morning. I'll give you one. Tom, who would be the most successful? I'm not saying you like him. I'm not saying this is somebody to emulate, but we're talking purely numbers, economics now, because that's the easiest measurable. Who's the most successful disc jockey in like New York radio history?
What's his name? We talked about this morning.
Who
Howard Stern?
Howard Stern.
Howard Stern, yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I kept thinking of Imus.
Right,
Because
but
Imus was
is
the,
too, right?
the other one.
So let's
that
say
was
they're
up
1
there.
and 2,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Who would you say is number 3? Any name pop out in the last 30 years in New York who's on a radio station that plays music? Anybody pop into mind?
No.
Okay. For me, Scott Shannon. Scott Shannon's been out there for a very long period of time, right? And he's been #1 show on WPLJ. He's on New York Morning Drive Time. He does these things. He's very well known, very popular, very successful. He's got a nationally syndicated thing he's doing. So I'm on a device in my office that I don't want to say his name, right? So it doesn't start talking to us. And at the end of the day, I'm like, I like to always kind of have a sense of net worth and income levels. So I asked the question of, hey, what does this guy generate? And let's say he's number 3 in New York in the last 30 years.
Mhm.
Well, Scott Shannon had said makes $400,000 a year.
Mm.
That's a lot of money, nothing to sneeze at. But he's like number 3.
Mm.
You know what Howard Stern makes?
17.
Like 50, right? He signed a $15 million contract with Sirius. I'm not sure where it is now, but he had at least a 5 or 10 year, $15 million a year deal versus 400,000. That is my illustration of going from a 9.8 to a 9.9 or 9.9 to a 9.99.
Understood.
The jumps become exponentially huge. Who is the fastest man on earth? Usain Bolt. If you have any idea about track and field or athletics, you know that in a split second. Who's number 2? Nobody knows. Except really totally into it. I like athletics, I like the Olympics, I don't know what number 2 is. There's this massive gain as you get towards the top. So income levels jump from 50,000, at the 50th percentile, roughly. I'm going to use very rough numbers. I knew these numbers more closely, recently, but I haven't looked at them for a while. And then let's say you get to an 8, now you're talking about getting to close to the $100,000 number. Then you get to a 9, maybe you're 125. When you're at 9.5, maybe now you're looking at 400,000. When you get to 9.9, maybe you're looking at $1 million. When you're at 9.99, now you're looking at like 5 or 10 million.
Mm.
Jumps, massive exponential jumps. And it's the same thing for love, for peace, for serenity, for fun, right? So the first point to this whole thing is understand you're not trying to get to a 7, right? And I'm not making you wrong for it, but the jumps you're going to get as you live a life of continuing growth are amazing. So that is essentially the root of the success formula to begin with, that your fulfillment is going to come from enriching all the relationships you have, the things you have from constant growth, and loving that process. That's the fundamental of the whole thing. Then you're going to find out those to-do things, what you're going to do is off of the wheel, you're rating yourself and saying, what do I need to go from 2 to a 9? Or at least in the next 3 months from a 2 to a 6. What do I need to go from a 5 to an 8? Right? And then you're going to then keep growing, and that's going to give you specific action items like we said. I need to learn a conflict resolution strategy, agree on it with my partner, my life partner, and we're going to implement this thing regularly. I'm going to need to increase my level of empathy and love and understand on a daily basis. Those are the action items I need to do. Got it? That's how we get our results to shoot at. Now here's the magic. I didn't teach anything magical yet, although I gave you a pretty cool framework. Here's the magic. That's goal setting. That's a very effective, quick tutorial on how to set your goals, your results, your outcomes. I like outcomes better, right, than goals. That's a different discussion. But how do you then achieve them? And why do some people and some people don't? Why do I listen to the same goal setting workshops and people produce results and others didn't? Okay, that's the question. And the answer is this, because there was no formula. And I would read a book that would say, okay, you want to build your business, public speak. I would read a book that said, you want to build your business, win friends and influence people. You want to build your business, take massive action, right? Okay, but what do I do? It gets really, really confusing and frustrating overwhelming. Does that make sense, Tom?
Yeah.
For you, the logical mind,
Yeah.
does that make sense?
Yeah.
For you, Rob, the believer, the inspired, but the rah-rah guy, you're a rah-rah guy, much more than Tom, right? Does that make sense to you too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So it did to me too. And I sat there and said, this is like a problem. And I would go into a bookstore and I would look at a wall of books that were going to help me produce my results. I'm like, it's a wall of books. Like, that's a lot. You read a lot, brother.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to read a wall of books before you're going to produce your results? I didn't want to. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm going to make something so people can get it. And by the way, just watching this video, you can literally change the trajectory of the results you're producing in your life. It's a promise for free. I'm giving you what took me 20 years and $500,000, trial and error, pain, insanity to produce. So, there are 3 parts to the formula. 3 for producing those results that you've already identified. 3. The first is called process mastery. The second is called influence mastery. And the third is called self-mastery. Okay? Those are the three. Process mastery, influence mastery, and self-mastery. Any result that you want to produce, ever, in your life, if you aren't, it's because of those three components. Anything you've done, Tom being editor-in-chief of Law Review, was because of this formula. Because of his process mastery, his influence mastery, and self-mastery. Rob, producing the results he has in his company, building 3 divisions, making awesome stuff happen, all the things he's done in his life, right? Become a college basketball player. And the level, by the way, that we stop at is also because of it. And the things because of this formula. So Rob getting to play Division 3 was because of this formula.
Yep.
Not playing Division 1 was also because of this formula.
Absolutely.
Right.
Makes sense?
100%.
Right?
Yep.
So the
Yeah, 'cause
accomplishment...
he could have been strong in one of those 3 components and very weak in 2 others. And it's
Absolutely.
the strength in the one component that propelled him to his level of success. But if he was good in all 3 segments, he could have had an even greater
And where he was on that scale of mastery.
Can
right?
I-
Like, so he could have been a 9,
Yeah.
but what if he would have been a 9.8, and the one he was strong in, because he kept building into his strength,
Right.
and Tom, like you said, picked up from a 2 to a 7 in those other areas, just grew in those areas. Oh my God, now he's on television instead of playing. Right.
If I could add to that, though,
Yeah, go
because you
ahead.
said something in this that I never, the subcomponent part of it, let me just give an example for any basketball player out there. If I practiced in the summer 500 jump shots a day and I just stood in place, which I might have done, I'd be better than the guy or the gal that didn't do it, right? However, subcomponents, and this is what I just took, just sitting
Yeah,
here.
yeah, go ahead.
If I took 500 jumpers every day at game speed, and did it that way and did variations throughout the floor, not just shooting, but coming off the dribble, that right then and there goes from Division 3 to Division 2, and I'm just sitting here thinking about it.
Yeah, and then you add in,
That right there.
yeah, and then you add in laying down at night and taking 50 perfect jumpers at game speed in your bed,
Visualizing.
seeing it go in, seeing it clear, seeing it in color,
Watching the
hearing
crowd.
the crowd cheer, feeling the feelings,
NLP.
feeling, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. If I could say one thing,
Yeah,
because this
please,
is
Rob,
phenomenal.
Rob,
When I met
keep
Sean,
jumping in.
yeah. When I met Sean, one word stood out more than any other word, and we laugh about this, is my office laughs at me all the time over this because I'm always using the word congruent. And what that meant to me, if my phone number in the 80s in Bayonne was 858-1516, I don't know who has that number now. Point is, when I met Sean, I was dialing 858-1615. I was dialing the wrong number. My action was there, my enthusiasm, and by the way, great things happen when you're enthusiastic no matter what. My enthusiasm was there, my action was there, my congruency wasn't. And I heard about these 3 parts of practice mastery, and the word that Sean used to me over and over early on, I don't even know if I'm sure you knew what you were doing, but it was congruency. And then to model myself and watch and see what he and everyone else does here at Callagy Law, that really became, I really then was able to, I'm in the process of being able to learn and make not the mistakes that were once made, but just jump on side by side or be second to the party, shoulder to shoulder, and just see what to do next. And that's for me what I'm taking out of this right now.
I didn't intend to do this. This is, of course, going longer than I originally thought. This has turned into something like unbelievable that we're creating right now. Like this video, I am so excited about the value for you because I haven't sat down and done this. And Rob didn't even understand what the results formula was. We've become very good friends, work together very consistently. And this is like an epiphany moment of how people hear things but don't hear things. That
Yes.
doesn't sink in. Is that
That's
right?
100% accurate.
Can I clarify
Please,
something?
yes. Yeah. Anything you're thinking.
Rob used the example.
Tom, jump in.
Okay. Rob used the example of taking 500 jump shots.
Yes.
So the old cynical Tom would say, sure, you practice and you get better.
Yeah.
Everybody, you learn that when you're in kindergarten.
Right.
When you're playing baseball, Little League. But that's a very, very, very simplistic view of it, because what it actually is process mastery, because that practice component has nothing to do. It's only one of the 3 segments. It's in one of the 3 segments. So it's not a matter of self-mastery, it's not a matter of influence mastery, that's process mastery, okay? So
But getting yourself to do it is self-mastery.
exactly,
Right? Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So that's just one component. So yeah, take the 500 jump shots as part of your process mastery.
Yep.
But the self-mastery component is getting to bed early, perhaps, to make sure you're in the right frame of mind to do the 500 jump shots and all sorts of other things. And the influence mastery is an even separate component that has to do with a whole bunch of communication type of things.
How about this?
Which are
Well, because of
even
those
another-
jumpers,
Wait,
if you're
wait.
scoring 30 points a game, you're influencing people now in your
You
life.
are, but
because you're
wait,
getting
I
attention.
want to show you the nuances of all this. This is beautiful, and then we didn't teach you the three pieces yet, but this is a beautiful intro to it. Like this, we didn't plan this. This just
No.
worked out this way, right? So, as Tom is saying, the influence part would be, so Rob's doing the jumpers, getting himself to do them, self-mastery. The process mastery is doing them at game speed, how to do them. Coach Hurley or whoever, right? You know, like.
I'd like to add to that part, too,
We're
because
gonna come back, let me finish this,
yeah,
then
yeah.
I'll come back. But getting all that done, and then realizing dribbling between your legs, doing certain drills, all process mastery, right? Modeling, we'll get to process mastery, what that is in a second. The influence mastery part would be, okay, how am I gonna show up with my coach so my coach loves me? And he is dying to promote me to colleges. How am I gonna show up when I go to the games and every person is there watching and they go, you see Rob Gill play? You see that guy Rob Gill, that kid Rob Gill play? You see the way he talks to the referee?
And how am I going to get my teammates
Yes.
to respond
Right, that way.
positively?
And I'm gonna give you a second, I'm gonna come back, I'm throwing to Rob next,
Yep,
you're
yep,
coming up,
yep,
keep it,
yep.
right?
Yep.
And then, when I go to camps where college coaches are, how am I gonna talk to them with the appropriate level of connection so they get me, my identity, love me, and want me for their program?
Yep.
Because it's all subjective. It's all subjective. How they can look at me and like me more than that guy, right? When our shuttle run time is the same, our jump shots are basically the same, our game speed. There's a lot of subjectivity what goes on during the scrimmages. How are they going to like me more and see me through a different prism? They go, I like that guy, I want that guy. And then they're going to be looking for their own commitment and consistency to go, yep, see Rob did it, yep, see Rob did it, because they like you already. That's the three pieces working. And by the way, that's how I ended up as a Division I player.
And that's how I did it, by the way, because of the three divisions, and I think that's phenomenal. And I think back to Coach Hurley because, Bobby Hurley Jr. is my age. I was fortunate enough from the age of 10 till he got drafted into the NBA to see everything he did to get to where he was at. And we talk about the 500 jumpers, yes. We talk about the game speed on how he worked it, yes. And he did. No one had to tell him to go practice. The key to all of that, though, from the Hurley legacy standpoint and the riches of the Jersey City basketball was Bobby and Danny included, and all the St. Anthony's players played top level competition at all times. So it wasn't like somebody shooting 500 jumpers and playing medium talent, dominating that medium talent. You want to talk about growth mindset, stretching yourself.
Absolutely.
This kid was stretching him like as a sixth grade. When you're in grammar school,
Sure.
6th versus 8th grade. My son's trying out; he's in 7th grade right now, and I'm feeling so for him right now because today's day 2 of his tryout, and we're either going to make it or not tonight. But the point is, there's a physical difference, and I remember, I go back to the 80s, and I looked at Bobby, and we were both in 6th grade, and I barely was able to get minutes, and he was starting playing against 8th graders and doing amazing things, and that's not only because of the practice, but it was also because he was in game, high-level conditioning, and played high-level competition at all
And
times his whole life.
certainty and self-mastery.
And that's what you're creating here, by the way. This is, I think, why, everyone laughs and jokes, why I'm so attracted to this light. This goes back 30 years. This goes back a long time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for me, you want to know why I'm so?
it's-
Because I told you I played Division I, but you want to know why I wasn't an All-American and why I was the number 9 division. And by the way, just a footnote, if you're watching, the sports stuff, guys, relax. I'm here for my family. I want to know more about my relationship with my kids. I want to know more about business, right? We're just using this as
That's
an
what he
example.
does, though. He just
Right,
changes up.
right. It's an example for how all of this works. And we could be having the same conversation about successful marriages. We got to do the same
Yes.
conversation about sales and business and making money. 'Cause I sure know how to teach that, right? But we're using this as a very tangible example. I think it's been beautiful because we're talking about where our stop gaps were, where our next levels were. Listen, Tom was a great wrestler. He was an Ivy League recruit. Decided to go a completely different route. I don't know if you regret it. Don't regret it.
No, I don't regret it.
Doesn't regret it at all.
I wanted to eat.
You want to eat and have fun. You made conscious decisions about it. But those were also then your outcomes were clear.
Yes.
You knew your wheel of life and where your wheel of life was going. And,
Mhm.
your high school sports career is successful and awesome. Took you as far as you wanted to go, and that's it.
Yeah.
Turn the page. Now here's the key. I didn't end up as an All-American. I was All-State in New York. I made the All-Ivy team, right?
Wow.
I didn't, and it was when I was the number 9 hitter, Division I in America in USA Today, batting .467. I have it. It's an objective clip from my junior year. And then I didn't follow my principles of self-mastery. I had one game where I hit the ball hard 5 times. All of it goes out the window. I have not all of it out the window. I still played Yankee Stadium that year, an All-State game. And people are like, oh, that's great, you're all, and I'm knowing in my heart. I'm like, dude, I could have won the national batting title. I had it in my hands, and I remember playing in Yankee Stadium, and I remember feeling like I had failed.
Does that drive you today?
It drives me today.
Is that one of your burning desires? Is that one of your that gives you the emotional juice?
When
you feel a level of high level success, but you know somebody like me or Tom, I don't want to use the word depend, is looking up to you for guidance.
Or inspiring me in other ways.
That's
or
fine.
learning from me. How's this? Simply.
Yeah.
It drives me because I never want to feel that way again.
Yes.
1, 2, I never want anybody to feel that way again. I want people to know.
So here's my question for them.
Yeah.
When you're falling back somehow, if you do fall back, how do you snap out
Stay
of
with
it?
us because we're about to give you the formula. We haven't given you the formula. We told you the concepts. We haven't given you what they mean yet. Stay with us. So when we took our quick break, Rob was about to ask a question as we were talking about, ascending through these levels and all this crazy things. Come on, Rob.
Yeah, so my question, and this is for me, and hopefully people out there can relate to it. So I've achieved success, right? And I've achieved certain levels of success, and somewhere along the line, there was a big paradigm shift for me, I want to say 2013, 14, which eventually led me to where I am today. And it was because I was stuck in a pattern that achieved a certain level of success. My question to you is, number one, has that ever happened where you were in a pattern that brought you to a certain place, right? And then, once you were able to break through that pattern to that next level of success, right? And then if you find yourself back into that similar pattern of complacency, how do you snap out of it? How do you know you're in it? For me, sometimes I get defensive around people if they point that out to me. How are you able to overcome some of that stuff?
Rob, it's an unbelievable question, which dovetails into exactly talking about the results formula. My life, right, and I love training, because sometimes people hear these videos and hear my momentum energy, like, oh, you think you're great, you're presenting like you're perfect. Dude, I don't present like I'm perfect. I've made more mistakes probably than most people I know in my life. By the way, I just had surgery on my arm, so I can't really use my left arm very much. That's why it's kind of, staying low at this point. In a lifting accident, because I'm completely insane and love to grow and challenge myself in all ways and, have a little bit of hiccup. But here's the trajectory of my life. Shh. Shh. Shh.
I get that.
Shh. 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 And I wasn't like, in the middle. I wasn't like, it was like, shh, 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 shh. Look at my college baseball career. So as a freshman, go in, and I'm gonna answer your question, right? I'm crushing it. Look at my entire business career. I've had like stagnation places. So my freshman year in college, I start every single game as a freshman, doing great, doing awesome, make all Ivy team. I'm batting leadoff every single game. I'm batting third as a freshman, Division I. Like, I didn't know what that meant.
That's incredible.
Right? Sophomore year.
Time out. What happened in that summer?
In that summer in between.
Yeah.
Great question.
Because this is what I'm trying to work on myself.
Right, and that summer in between, I'm going to tie this all together, is I probably didn't work that hard.
But why?
I lifted, I didn't play baseball. I did certain parts of process mastery optimally, I lifted my butt off. Probably because I didn't have a plan. I didn't have this formula. The answer is I didn't have this formula that I'm about to give you.
So you're lifting real hard, and you wouldn't have known that the following year that extra lifting was going to maybe take a step back.
It didn't hurt me. I wasn't doing the mental training.
Okay.
I wasn't following, said simply, my process mastery. I wasn't doing the mental training. I wasn't playing on a high level, high caliber team consistently, right? I just wasn't.
With the distractions.
No, I was never a partier.
Okay.
I was never like having, like, it wasn't about that. It was just about, like, I didn't think that was that important. I just broke up my routine because I didn't have a formula.
You mentioned the word complacency.
Yes.
Right? But it's not just complacency that leads to you staying at whatever level you're staying at.
Yeah.
It can also be, it might be complacency, but it could also be the notion that you think you've hit your ceiling. You follow me?
Some of that's
like, I've never been complacent my whole life.
That's a good
But
point.
I've hit plenty of ceilings.
Right.
So
you didn't know there was another growth beyond that
yeah,
at that point.
I'm just thinking,
I got you.
okay, I hit my level. This is my level.
Yes.
And
Let me
I
maintain
worked
it.
hard. Okay, I'm happy, I'm comfortable, I'm successful. I got nothing to complain about. This is my level. This tells you, not only, shake off the complacency, but your level, the fact that you think you hit a ceiling is completely artificial.
Yeah.
It's coming from your own
Right,
psyche.
because you've heard. So let me just go quickly through all my ups and downs. Like I gave you that graph. Let me give you a few raw, right? So my sophomore year, I played myself out of the lineup in the first 10 days of the season. And you want to know why? 'Cause a new hitting instructor came in. He wanted to change the process. He had a brilliant approach. I didn't like it. He was telling me to change. My ego was in the way. I was always respectful. Everybody liked me. I mean, I always had huge rapport skills, being quiet and respectful, right? I was always quiet and respectful, but inside, I didn't want to change. I didn't like it. I didn't feel good. I didn't feel comfortable. I never voiced it.
Did you
I
feel
didn't badmouth
like
them.
you were losing control? Did you feel
I
there was a certain tone?
felt scared.
Okay.
I felt scared because everything is about fear of failure.
Pain.
Fear of loss of love, right? Rejection, right? So I felt those fears. So all of a sudden I played myself out, and then I almost quit. I went home my sophomore summer. Now we're going back to the formula. But these are hugely valuable pieces that give you the working of the formula. And I got lucky. God blessed. I'll say God, because I left sophomore year. I wanted to leave Columbia. I wanted to quit the team. I blamed the coach. I was like, this is ridiculous. I was doing awesome. I was one of our leading hitters. This is my freshman year. I was tremendous. You know, came out of Florida. My freshman year, I was batting 500. Out of Florida after 10 games in. Dude, we played Notre Dame. We played Vanderbilt, and they were ranked in the top 25. With the manager of the New York Yankees there, my freshman year, I went 2 for 4 against Vanderbilt. I hit a ball off the 410 sign in center field off my front foot, got fooled on a curveball by a lefty throwing 95 who threw me a curveball, and still hit it with one hand off the center field fence. And the coach, his son was on the team, said to his son, I love that kid. That kid's got tremendous hand speed. This is what he told the manager of New York Yankees. My sophomore year, I'm playing. So, of course, my ego, I'm like, dude, that's where I was. Right? That summer, I come home, true story, a kid named Paul D'Ambrosio, who, didn't have the opportunities to do the things I did, right? Probably struggled in school, that probably did. And he was about 6, 7 years old, and he was a neighbor. And true story, came up to me, he's like, hey, how's baseball going? What am I going to say to him? In the street. We didn't have each other's phone numbers, just he saw me get in my car, coming home for the summer. And I was like a life he was living vicariously through. In high school, he used to take me to the batting cages. So part of my process mastery was me moving up in the cage, him driving me when I was a kid, and I'm moving up more and more. So it's a 40-foot cage. I'm hitting from 28 feet. The thing's throwing 90 miles an hour. So now it's coming in probably equivalent 110 or something, whatever the math was, coming in super fast. Yep. And I kept moving up. And I'm looking at him, and I was ashamed. But here's the thing. This isn't a motivational story. It was luck, blessing from God. Right? With a formula, you still need blessings from God, but you have so much more control. Because if that didn't happen, it would have been done.
Did it shift you to a gratitude mindset?
It did, but what I'm saying is, this formula keeps you there.
Yes.
I was blessed by happenstance. God, whatever, don't believe that, luck, whatever it was, it doesn't happen without it didn't have to be that way because I could have a formula. So then I went back to process mastery, I went back to self-mastery. Paul is pitching to me from 25 feet away at the Emerson High School field every day that summer. I wrote my coach an apology letter for my attitude, and I never gave him lip, but for quitting on myself. True story.
Great story.
But and then I was batting 467.
As a junior.
31 games in. And then still screwed up enough, right? I still hit 400 in the Ivy League, hit a little below 400 for the season overall, but still had an incredible season. But dude, I could have had a legendary season. So all of these variations that we're sharing impact the formula. And I'm like, so when I'm now 27 and I'm ready to quit my job at this major law firm because I'm not there, I'm like, there has to be a formula to this, dude. Why is it up and down and down and up and all this stuff? I moot court, national championship caliber stuff going on, and I did great in most competitions, better in law school. I got like all A's and A pluses basically, except in 3 classes. And you know what I got in those 3 classes? C pluses. Like, what the F? And I know why. It wasn't what the F, because I didn't follow my formula.
Why?
Because I thought, by the way, because the classes were easy.
Okay.
They were easy.
I got you.
I'm like, I don't have to follow my formula.
You know what I just thought of? And this is why I love the movie The Natural so much.
Oh my God, so do I.
Is because when you think of the movie The Natural, and you can put it in terms of the formula.
Yeah.
Because it was all self-mastery that led him to either succeed or fail. Because when he was on the dark side of the seedier characters surrounding baseball,
Yeah.
he was failing.
Yep.
And then when there's a scene where Glenn Close, who's the heroine, is in the stands,
Man,
and
stands up.
you see the light,
Yes.
and it was all light.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It's got the chills. Yeah.
It's the self-mastery component
Yep.
of everything we're talking about.
Yes.
And that look of regret, there's a moment in the movie,
Yep.
in The Natural,
Yeah.
when Roy Hobbs comes up in the big game, left the hospital, he's like, I'm going for it. I get, like, this is genuine emotion. This is not, like, made-up nonsense, okay? I've seen that movie 100
Right.
times. That was part of my success formula.
Right.
That was part of my self-mastery my junior year in high school. I watched that movie. I watched the ending of that movie before every game. Before every game day. I get up early in the morning watching that movie. And there is a part where he stands up and they bring in a relief pitcher to pitch against them.
Right.
And they're like, tall, left-hand pitcher, blazing left-hand speed, Nebraska farm boy.
Yeah.
Right, and they're announcing he is seeing himself.
Right.
What his life would have been if he didn't make a mistake in the beginning and go to some, woman's room that ended up shooting him and all crazy, right? So, like, he's seeing that. And that is when I'm confronted with things that go on. And listen, I'm not perfect, man. There's a lot of moving parts here, right? I'm not claiming perfection. But I am constantly anchored back to, and now we're going to get to the specifics of the formula, right? But yes, Rob, the driving force for me is thinking about those days and the ups and downs and the pain I felt. Man, I felt pain. I punished myself. I got down on myself. There was so many. There's lots of variables in all this.
Yep.
And that's what the results formula is about. So may I?
Yes, but I want to share one thing, because
Okay.
you made me think
But I'm
of
going to
something.
make you say what these elements are when we're done, so they're anchored into your nervous
I
system.
can't wait.
Okay? All right, go ahead.
When I was talking before about complacency, it just hit me.
Yeah.
And in my mind, right, you're going to relate to this, I know.
Yeah, okay.
In my mind, if I just went and shot, I'm just playing this scenario, shot 500 jumpers, I did what I was supposed to do.
Right.
And it became a pattern that got watered down each time because I wasn't challenging myself on the three areas.
Absolutely.
Right? And when I think about that, I'm hearing all this stuff, and I'm realizing even in business, when I achieved a certain level of what I achieved, I was still doing what I did to get there, but that began to get watered down. And if you don't change, obviously, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward, you're not staying still. And I think that's what made me start listening to Tony Robbins. I knew something had to change, right? And then I went to Tony Robbins, and then, it brought me, to be a part of this team a year and a half ago, and that's where I am today. So for me, I'm sitting, and I can't wait to hear exactly what's about to happen next. I think my biggest challenge and my question is, how do you stay on that course no matter what?
That's what the formula does.
That's what I want to know.
That's what the formula does, right? So I'll share one more thing, and then get into the nuts and bolts of the formula. When I was doing the trial, the second trial, this was in Arizona for Mark Wachansky, and we were dealing with corruption, lies, just total insanity, right? And that's its own. I have plenty of videos on that. I'm going to have eventually. That's going to potentially become a movie, a book. It's completely insane, the stuff that went on there. And so, but to give you self-mastery and process mastery, I was driven by many things. Justice, the sense for justice. We'll get to the whys, not on this video. Maybe we'll come back to it when we talk about a certain component. But the process part, I was watching videos, every video I could find on the internet, on how to cross-examine somebody, how to depose somebody. And most of them are horrendous, weak, pathetic, unhelpful. But every one I watched, I said, I'm way better than that person. So it's increasing my confidence and certainty. But also, I would find occasionally, and what was really helpful, and I'll give credit to it, I love to shoot these guys a letter, I never did. I found the deposition of O.J. Simpson by the people that did the civil case. And they did a tremendous job. And then I read their opening statement in the O.J. case, the civil case, right? The guys that were attacking O.J. saying, you're a liar, you're a murderer. What a beautiful job they did. And that gave me some structural things that I really did take into. Because what I was looking for is, O.J. was just lying, right? So what do you do? This was my question. I was Googling, I was searching. What do you do when you have people who are claiming, I don't know, I don't remember, and they're lying?
Right.
And I couldn't find anything. Couldn't find anything.
Right.
And then I stumbled onto their stuff, and they didn't write anything about this, but I was like, who dealt with somebody who was lying, obviously, and was saying, I don't know, I don't remember, and I stumbled into the OJ stuff. And it was really helpful.
That's
So
awesome.
my point is, I had all these skills, all this knowledge, all this money I spent on, and I was relentlessly looking for more.
You became resourceful.
Right? But always, that's what this formula is all about. Constant and never-ending improvement, growth.
Every
So
single
so
day.
now let's get into it. Let's get into it. So you have your outcomes. You want to lead the nation, you want to hit the best you can, right? You want to be the best lawyer you can. You want to have the best family you can, the best marriage you can, right? Whatever the it is, the specific outcomes you identify from the wheel that we were talking about a while ago, that went to all these beautiful examples. Thank you. 3 pieces we said: process mastery, influence mastery, self-mastery. Then they break into subcomponents. Process mastery is all about one word: modeling. So, you want to become that basketball player. You do what somebody who was great did. You do what John Wooden says, Coach Hurley says, Phil Jackson says, or better yet, if you want to make the high school team, you do what the kid who had marginal talent did to make the high school team, to go from marginal to star. That's who you want to follow. You want to model as specifically as you can what you're trying to do. Does that make sense?
So the question, they're saying,
Yeah.
Rob Gill, if Bob Hurley was someone you were so close to, why didn't you do it? And the question is, I had fear.
Well, we're going
Right?
to get there.
Like that,
That's
I'm
not-
just thinking of that right
that's-
now, because I had that opportunity to be the best in the country.
That's self-mastery.
Yep.
So that's why this is a 3-part formula. Because one is modeling. That's the easy part.
Yes.
Knowing what to do. You want to make the best cake? Go follow the guy's recipe. Do exactly what the dude does. You're going to make a great cake. You may not make it as perfectly as him or her, but it's going to be pretty darn good. Agree, Tom?
Yeah,
Right?
and not just good, eventually you'll add your own little touches and make it better.
Yes.
Absolutely. Right. You want to be the best lawyer, the best deposition taker. You want to be the best confronter. You want to be the best person at sales. And, right, we'll come back to that actually. So, whatever it is that you want to do, there's a process to do it. So process mastery is about modeling. Go find it. Do not ask your mother, father, brother, sister, unless you're Bobby Hurley. Then you can ask your dad, right? Because he's sending kids to Division I college all the time. Don't ask my dad, because he didn't do that,
Yes.
right? And we tend to be laughing. Does that make sense, my logical friend?
Right.
But people do it, right?
Yeah.
Don't they? A lot of people are like, oh, you know what my dad said? Right? Well, maybe your dad could teach you how to work hard. That's a blessing.
Yeah.
But don't listen to what your dad said about how to shoot takedowns,
Yeah.
right? Go find a national champion wrestling coach. Who's the big national champion, Penn State coach?
Cale Sanderson.
Go ask Kel
Yeah.
Sanderson,
Yeah.
right? Go ask that guy how to shoot a takedown, right? Got national championships out the wazoo. Go ask those people what to do. Filtered by this, you might not want to ask Michael Jordan how to be a great basketball player, because God may have blessed Michael Jordan with skill sets you don't have. Naturally. He gave him any talent. So you want to find people like Bobby Hurley. Bobby Hurley was not, for example, we keep using it, was not born with the talents of Michael Jordan.
No,
Is that a fair statement?
That's 100% fair.
Follow what Bobby Hurley did.
Yep.
That guy, everybody should be asking that guy what he did.
Yep.
All over the place, right?
Absolutely.
Right? So he took good talent, good blessings from God, and
Yep.
took it to an astronomical level.
Yeah, but Michael Jordan wasn't blessed with the talents that Michael Jordan has either.
Right. But you may want to ask Michael Jordan, though. Right.
Because didn't he get cut from the...
Absolutely. You know what, Tom? You're giving a right
Right.
example. So maybe I should have said Will Chamberlain or who else?
Right.
Somebody.
I got
right.
you.
But maybe you can learn things from those guys. So
Yeah.
that might have been an inappropriate example. But you want to model the processes that most
Yes.
mirror yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got you.
The second component of process mastery is time blocking.
Ah,
So process mastery then, secondarily, remember that wheel we talked about? Every part of the wheel needs its space in the time. Every part that you want to work on. Because if you're not growing the area, you're dying. So it's about modeling in each of the things. Best relationship. Find people that are 85 years old, that are wildly happy, or what you want to be, that are on a program, that are on a YouTube video, or maybe they're your family. You people, you're 85 years old, they're passionately in love. They're holding hands, walking down the beach, and you're like, I want that when I'm 85. Go ask them. Don't go, what do you need? Oh, you need to love each other. Because they might be bad teachers. You need to dissect it. Don't tell me that. Tell me how you argued. Tell me what you did. Tell me what you ate. Tell me when you ate. You have to interview them. You have to learn from them, not just ask them because they may not know what they did. You have to take it from them. You have to elicit it from them. So process mastery is about modeling true processes. Because they might go, oh, you know what? you just throw the burger on the grill and it comes out great. No! You did the meat first, you put the seasoning on, whatever the hell it's, I don't know what it is. You put that on, you had it be for 1 hour and 15 minutes. Then you heated the grill for 40 minutes. I don't even cook. You heated the grill for X minutes. Then you cooked it this way, you flipped it only once, you flipped it at this precise time, you cooked it right in the middle of the grill, then you took it off, you bought potato rolls, not these rolls, you heated it appropriately, then you put on this amount of barbecue, whatever, right?
This is what I'm talking about.
That's modeling.
Right here.
Right? That's what modeling is.
Okay.
And then you go, yeah, but like, where's that block? Well, you had a block time. That's family time. Make a great hamburger. Make my family happy, right? Like, and then, but you had an hour that morning where you got on your knees and you prayed.
What do you do during family time when your kids don't listen?
Okay, well, not right. That's like understood, right?
Yes.
That's its own interesting challenge. Ready? You don't want to know what the great
That's an
challenge
influence
is?
mastery.
That's an influence mastery.
Okay.
Like that. So process mastery. We haven't taught you everything. We taught for 50 hours.
Yes.
But know this.
And I can do this for 50 hours.
Right,
I
you
want
want your-
everybody to know that.
Yes, you want your process you want your formula.
Like, I don't want to leave.
Right, result outcome, process mastery.
Sleepovers all over the place, the whole thing. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Process mastery is, I want you to say it.
Process mastery.
is, right? Process mastery is
Process mastery
modeling
is modeling
and time blocking.
and time blocking. Process mastery is modeling and time blocking.
Right.
Process mastery is modeling and time blocking.
Yes.
Process mastery is modeling and time
Do you
blocking.
agree with that, Tom?
Yes.
Okay.
Process mastery is modeling and time blocking.
Right, modeling and time blocking. Now you go, okay, I am modeling. I am time blocking, right? I'm in the process of making sales calls. So now let's get business, right? We did our sports stuff, we talked a little relationship. So now we're out there, dude, I'm doing it, right? Sean, you said that the model for process mastery. So by the way, we could do a whole segment on how do you develop business. We're not doing that now. We're giving you this formula for how interchangeable it is with everything. And you go, a couple quickies. You go, your process mastery formula is public speak, generate people from the public speaking to become potential clients, but give them massive value in the information content you are, whatever that is, whether in the coaching business, legal business, whatever it is, real estate, finance, raising money, whatever. Give them massive value, convey your unique identity. There's a formula, right? You do this many speaking engagements, you do this many follow-up meetings, you make this many touches post-follow-up. That's the process. I am time blocking, Sean. I'm doing every word you said, and it's not working. Well, first, if you're doing every word I said, you're engaged in high-level self-mastery. So we'll come back to the problem if you go, I can't get myself to do everything you said. We'll come back to that problem. That's self-mastery problem. But if you don't have that self-mastery challenge. That's the last thing we'll talk about. You have a challenge in the second area if you're doing it all. Influence mastery. You have an influence mastery challenge. Same challenge if you're like, I'm the kid, I'm doing great, my coach doesn't like me, scouts not talking to me, something's wrong. Influence, well, it's because you walk around with a puss on, or you walk around going, I'm awesome, what's up? And everybody's like, I don't want him.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay? It's an influence mastery challenge.
Got
Now
it.
you go, okay, so great, you tell me to become great at influencing, how do I? Oh, here's a formula. 4 steps. We're not going to go through them all because it's its own training. I'm giving you that there's a formula. I have videos on this. 4 steps to influence mastery with 5 indispensable elements and take you from hello, in fact, before hello, to yes with everyone you meet. I could give you, Tom, you've been around. Am I good at connecting with people and making things happen?
Yes.
Okay, I had that going before I even knew what the formula was because I learned things. Every single job interview I went out of law school, I got the job offer. 20 out of 20. You get 20 on-campus interviews, I had 20 at 20 job offers. That's a true statement, right? And I'm not like, I'm so great, right? And remember I told you I got that C+, and one of those C pluses was in an early class. So I got all A's and A pluses my first year and 1 C+, and I was like, ugh. Like, so that still kept me in the top 10% of my class, but I was like, I'm not in the top 1%. So I'm gonna be in trouble. No, I wasn't in trouble. Because top 10% is all you need to get you in the game. The game then became the interview, and I crushed the interviews because of influence mastery. So the influence mastery piece is 4 pieces: emotional rapport building, eliciting pain and yes strategy, conveyance of unique identity into that, and agreement formation. We're not going into the detail. They all have subparts. I'm giving you the fact that there's a formula. So here's what I'm saying to you is if you are doing all the things you're supposed to be doing and not getting the results you want, you are doing all the things you're supposed to be doing, you have an influence mastery challenge. And there's 5 indispensable elements. They include matching and mirroring. They include using level 3 listening, why questions. There's a formula to this is what I'm saying. A formula. That's the overview. So process mastery. What's the second leg of the formula, Rob? Is what did I just say?
Practice mastery.
Nope. Tom.
Influence mastery.
Influence,
Sorry.
But this is the challenge, right? No,
Yep.
it's not a criticism.
Yep.
Rob's here. He's loving it,
Yep.
right? But we get so excited. We're thinking about this thing,
Yep.
and it's a formula. So it's like saying, okay, yeah, I'm all excited to learn math, right?
Yeah, right.
It's like, what's 6 times 8? I love math. You know what I mean? Right? Like,
Sorry.
all hail math, right? You know, like,
Sean Callagy.
right? That's what I'm saying, right? But it's
Sean. Call Sean.
right? So I'm so grateful, but it's learning that formula,
Yep.
and then all the pieces of influence mastery, and then it comes in. You're like, okay, so no, so that's not my. And by the way, process mastery is the easiest thing to learn. What's the easiest thing to learn, Rob?
Process mastery.
Process mastery is the easiest thing to learn. You know why? Because you learn about modeling and you just book your scheduling. It's really pretty easy. Influence mastery gets a little bit more complicated. Go ahead, Tom.
Let me interject something. The self-mastery, I think, and the process mastery components are probably what most people that are successful have a lot of naturally. Okay?
Yeah.
So, efficient people are probably tend to be good at process mastery because they know how to set up processes and they're efficient and that sort of thing.
Yep.
And people that are self-disciplined tend to be successful, and that's the self-mastery component. The influence mastery piece is really an interest. It was for me.
I love that part.
It was a challenging one for me because it was not something I naturally either was good at or thought of, and I didn't really know it was a process of some kind.
Right. And
So-
he did.
And you
All right,
did.
you know,
Well, yeah.
So ready? This is
But
fun.
mine-
Because you're all like Tom's all about process mastery and self mastery. You're all about influence mastery. This is a. I didn't even think of that when we sat down, but that may explain the rah
Right.
and the more logical analytical, right? Like
absolutely.
because Rob has studied this science and done some unbelievable things. He's done things in influence mastery I've never done. Cold call people, got people to invest over back in the day,
Yeah.
right? Things that are really incredibly hard to do. So good.
Right? Yeah.
When I think of influence mastery, though, I think about, because I grew up in Bayonne, there was 75,000 people on a 3-mile peninsula. So I think in my neighborhood, you had to learn to be influential. You had to learn to just to find the place and be able to.
It's a street sense.
Yeah,
right?
I guess. Yeah, I mean, I would say so.
But then you learn the science, refined it.
But then
took
I
it to a
started
different level.
studying it when I got older.
Yeah,
Yes.
and took it to a different level of
Absolutely,
mastery. You
yes.
took it from a 9 to a 9.3, a 9.5. Dude, you're a
Yes.
9.9 plus
Yes.
in the category,
Yes.
right? So the final piece is influence mastery. Self-mastery, right? So, and that's the hardest, brothers, right?
Yeah.
That's the one when you go, wait a minute, I get the process. I
Yeah.
get what I'm supposed to be, not that I want to do, to get to, remember, all of this formula is about taking you to your outcomes that you select through using the wheel. Remember, Rob?
Yep.
It's a formula, right? You pick the outcomes from the wheel to get yourself from a 3 to an 8 in your relationships, a 5 to a 7 in your level of contribution, a 2 to a 9 in your spirituality or connection with God, whatever you call it, right? Your areas of life, your finances, your career, your all of those things, your family, right? That's how you set your outcomes, and this is where you look when they don't exist. You go, I can't stop fighting with my wife. Okay, so what's your process for conflict resolution? What?
Mhm.
What? What do you mean?
Mhm.
Oh, well, you don't know that the United States government's done research and found that the number one reason people get divorced.
Authoritative principle, you just use the United States government, that's
Yeah.
a tool of persuasion.
Yeah, absolutely, but it is true, and that's why he's a genius.
It's a tool of
influence master.
persuasion.
And,
Yep.
and true.
Because it's not coming from him, it's coming from the US government.
Yeah, that's the number one reason for divorce, is how people resolve conflict.
Yep.
15-year study, right? There's people that on a process mastery level can dissect and determine to like a 90+ degree of certainty. It's outlined in Malcolm Gladwell's book,
I read it.
citing other studies,
Language.
right? That could pick out whether or not people can get divorced from watching 15 minutes of video. It could even be like 90% watching 5 minutes of video.
Yep,
If they're going to stay married for 5 years. Is that crazy, Tom?
that's a
That
great
is
book.
crazy.
The world exists in ways we don't even imagine. So, ready? So now you know all the process master. It's easy to find. You go find this book. You go, okay, I'm going to dude, that dude did a study. They said this. They can tell if people can get divorced or not. I'm going to follow that formula. And you're like, but I can't. First of all, I can't even get myself to look for it, right? Or if you did look for it and you found it, and you wrote it down, you went to a class, you spent money, I can't get myself to open a book. Or better yet, I get myself to open a book, but my wife pisses me off and she's such an a-hole, I can't even follow it. That's self-mastery problems. I'm not saying your wife is an a-hole, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying this is our own ego and self-mastery preventing us from following our process mastery. So self-mastery is the third component. It's process mastery is modeling, time blocking what to do. Influence mastery is then the execution of doing it, right? Whatever it is, sales, promoting yourself to other people, connecting and influencing other people. How to go from hello to yes, right? Hello to yes, including if you want to execute these strategies, how to be interacting with your significant other in ways, because you could maybe not have rapport skills, you're not matching and mirroring, so you're trying to execute the things you're learning in influence mastery, and you're just bad at it, right? You're like, oh, okay, honey, I really feel how you're feeling, and that really means a lot to me, and you're really wonderful. No, you're not matching and mirroring, it's not authentic, you're not connected to the words, that's a problem. All influence mastery problems. But let's say, again, you can't get yourself to go or find the information. You do find the information, can't get yourself to use all of it, you can't any of it, or then you can't get yourself to use all of it. You get yourself to use all of it most of the time, but not all the time, because then you get upset and you have patterns. All of that is self-mastery. Self-mastery is, ready? Here it is. Self-mastery is the ability to get yourself to take zone action in the moment on demand. It is being the ruler of your brain and nervous system. Being the ruler of your brain and nervous system, getting you to take the most specific action step imaginable in the moment to follow your process mastery outcomes you're seeking in that moment. That is what self-mastery is. And there's a formula. Okay? And here's the formula. Right, so that's what it is, right? Good. Isn't that the challenge? Well, yeah, it works really well until my wife starts behaving this way, or my husband starts behaving that way, and he does this, or she does that, right? Or I could do it all except I'm not making cold calls. What do you mean except you're not making cold calls? Or what do you mean except I'm not doing this? What do you mean? You know what? I could be a great player, except that there's a crowd. Like self-mastery, self-mastery, self-mastery. So I could be great until you start telling me what I need to do, and then I'm going to tell you to go F yourself. Self-mastery. All of it's self-mastery. Zone action. Get yourself to take the most specific action step in the moment of time to follow your process or influence mastery that you've learned. That is what self-mastery is. Make sense, Tom?
Mm-hmm.
Make sense, Rob?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a formula. We're not going to give you the entire formula today. But we're going to give you a good little quick overview. Your physiology controls how you feel. Your physiology controls how you feel. So you have to become masterful at realizing if I'm going to step in the middle, yes, let's go. I can't even remember. Let's go. One of the challenges since I've gotten my surgery is that it's difficult for me to get in state because if I flex my right pec, I flex my left pec, that's bad. And it's going to hurt and I can do something bad. So the way we use our body to dictate, or if we're going to hold somebody's hand, we're going to talk quietly, we're going to connect, deep, soulful level, how we use our body matters. Look, the posture I'm changing if I'm going to talk low and quietly. So how we use our body affects, I'm not talking about influencing other people. It affects that too, but it affects how we influence ourselves. How we use our body impacts our thoughts and our feelings. Number one, become conscious of using your body. We have 2 hours to talk about that and all the different ideas. How you get up in the morning, midday, hit the stairs in your thing, do push-ups, do jumping jacks. I would do going to court. I would do push-ups in a bathroom stall. God's honest truth, till I got endorphins released, though I felt nervous or uncomfortable. I would never sit down. The way you use your body, there's a pattern to it. Right? So we're not trying to give you the full training, giving the overview. So one is, you have to understand masterfully how to use your body to feel confident, strong, certain, loving, ready to take the actions you want to take. So one is using your body. Second, you've got to control your mind. And we just said that your body affects how you control your mind. But so do a whole bunch of other things. Where you choose to focus is enormous. So ready? Oh, I got this phone call. I got this surgery. I hurt myself lifting. Doing all the right things. I did a dopey thing. I didn't have a spotter, and I was putting the weight back and made a mistake. So I did a dopey thing. But globally, I'm doing the right things. I'm working hard. I'm keeping myself in really peak shape to stay strong, to lead my team and for my family, for everybody, right? So I get hurt, and the first thoughts are, this is going to completely screw up my self-mastery. First thought I had, right? Going to totally screw it up. I can't do the things I normally do. Now what? I'm in trouble. My formula's screwed up. My self-mastery formula is broken. For a while. That's going to be a big problem. Right? And I operate on a high octane level, deal with a lot of challenges on a basis. People say I could never handle the stuff you handle, stress levels, and to me it's like fun. I'm like, but I'm about to change. So then that's a focal challenge. Right? My focus shifted. So what I had to do is I had to ask myself a better question. So questions control your thoughts and your focus. I asked myself this question. Okay, how am I going to go through this surgery? First surgery in my life, which by the way was before I was hoping to avoid all the different things. I had to get my tendons reattached, right? So first surgery in my life. So what now? That's a bad question. How am I going to survive? Bad question. The question became, how am I going to take this opportunity to take my game to an entirely new level in this journey and learn that I can master myself in every single way, even if I can't move my arm, even if I can't lift or run. I'm going to figure it out. And for me, God bless, for people that can't walk or run, I don't have anything, I can't teach on this point right now, right? I didn't do that, I didn't experience that. Model somebody who has, right? I don't have that one. I give other ideas, but I don't have that one. But in this, I do have it, right? I started power walking, no kidding. And I started every morning, I would wake up instantly, even more religious than ever before.
What made you do it? What was when you asked, when did you discover to do that?
I said, what can I do? I said, I can
Was
walk.
it that day?
I walked the next day. I had
Okay.
surgery, I walked the next day.
Were
I
you
felt
thinking that
horrendous.
before
By the way, I
surgery?
didn't take painkillers I didn't take painkillers at all. I took Tylenol for 3 days, over the counter,
Damn.
that's it, right?
Were you thinking that before surgery or the next day?
I was thinking going
When you
into
asked
surgery.
that question?
I was
Okay.
thinking going
All right.
into surgery.
So your brain gave you the answer.
Yeah,
Got it.
thinking about going into surgery. And by the way, laying on the surgical table, I was really scared. I had a hard time controlling this. They said I couldn't do things I normally do.
Mm.
They didn't want me having endorphins in my system. They didn't want me getting myself revved up. I'm like, I literally asked, can I do push-ups? Just get myself feeling better.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yep.
They're like, I'm like, why? They're like, it's just bad to have that going through your system. I'm like, okay.
Why?
I'm not even kidding. Because I felt
They wanted
scared.
to know why.
I felt really scared. I really did go into the surgery. I was nervous with anesthesia, I had a tube down my throat, the openness of the surgery. We'll get so self-mastery is physiology, but what if it, use your dude, if you have the blessing to have your physiology, use it like an animal, man. It's like gold. It's like an endless abundance of everything. You can make yourself feel differently in 2 seconds, right? Your voice matters, yell, but also your mind, right? So that's our mind. So let me get away from the physical for a second. So I started asking myself that question, what else could I do? So I say the scrolls from Og Mandino, right? I get myself in a focal point. I say those scrolls every day. It starts with, I haven't formed great habits of mastery, and I'm a slave to them. I haven't formed great habits of mastery, I'm a slave to them. Scroll 2 is, I greet each day with love in my heart, carry love through my heart throughout each day. Scroll 3 is, I will persist until I succeed. 4 is, I'm a miracle of God. Step 5 is, I will live this day as if it is my last. And on, right? Every day.
Success
in the
leaves
morning,
clues.
Right, success in the morning, at night, right? I've been doing that for 6 months. The results have been incredible. All of it means there's a self-mastery formula for how you start your day. It shifts the conditioning of your mind. When you encounter challenges, it's realizing the framework of other videos we talked about, that every single thing that you feel inside of yourself is a fear of rejection, fear of failure. Right? Fear of success, fear of failure. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but everything is. So as soon as you realize that and you realize there's no failure, that's all called reframing. It's called reframing. So when the surgery happened, I reframed it into a better question of, how is this going to be something that helps me help other people and help myself and help my team? How am I going to be better than ever before? I am going to make sure during this process I multiply my value, right? Because I'm so frustrated with this happening. I'm not going to let that be. And by the way, in case you're getting through this vibe of, this guy's just crazy driven, dude, I can chill with the best of them. I could put it down. Tom knows this too, can I not?
Yes.
I could disconnect and put it down like anybody. I love laying on the beach, laying with people I love and care about, my family, being there. I love surfing, I love scuba diving, I love peaceful disconnect. I can relax massively because that's also part of my wheel of life. That's part of self-mastery as well, of realizing all of these different things. So the formula, the self-mastery formula is how you use your physiology, how you use your mind, right? How you use your mind has to do with the questions you're asking yourself. It has to do with the beliefs you have, identifying your limiting and empowering beliefs, because we all have them. People are. And by the way, when limiting beliefs come up, he's a financial guy, they just want you to invest with them, they're gonna rip you off. I'm like, stop, limiting belief, like let's be open, let's stop, right? And we did, we met, connected, great things happened. Tom met me, I was crazy, bunch of nonsense, hype stuff, stayed open, right? So it's called a growth and open mindset, attacking your limiting beliefs, anchored in, right? Anchored in journaling. Because if you're not anchoring in with journaling, ready? Our amygdala, our brain, teaches us to be in fight or flight, right? It kept us from being eaten by saber-toothed tigers. I heard a great analogy recently by an awesome new coach that I've been listening to online that works with the Seattle Seahawks, Gervais' name, Michael Gervais. And he says, he's like, yeah, that rustling sound, that was telling you whether or not it was like, a squirrel or a saber-toothed tiger is going to eat you. Right? So we had to be in like these fight or flight moments. It was really, really important. But we don't need that anymore. But our brain still works that way. It's like, public speaking, fear. Oh my God, we're going to eat. You're not going to eat. Dude, you're not going to eat. It's fear of failure, fear of rejection. It doesn't exist. It's not life and death anymore. But we have these things miscalculated. You can change this condition, but you can't change it if you're not journaling. You can't grow. Nothing. Self-mastery's anchor is this.
So what do you journal?
Right? Self-mastery's anchor is this. You can't maximize, you say manage, I don't like that word anymore. You can't maximize that which you can't measure and monitor. So self-mastery is all about, you can't maximize, and so is process and influence mastery, everything is. But self-mastery is the place, Tom, that most people don't do it. They do it in their weightlifting and their running and their process mastery stuff. People have numbers all over the place, their finances, all, right? Those are all process mastery things. The self-mastery is our own growth of our fears, our belief structures, right? All, our physiology utilization. Like, do you put numbers to that? Most people don't. I do. Most people don't. It's how I became so much more confident and strong and able to break through things emotionally. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, but dude, Tom knows this, right? Do I let anybody here take any crap from anybody?
No.
Right? And I'm not saying you do, but like this is how it is, right? And I love strong, I love big, I have fun big. Like, took everybody to Grand Cayman, Tom said this, right? Do we do everything top end, high shelf, completely crazy?
Yes.
Right? All desire to maximize the emotional experiences of everybody. And by the way, not just with spending money, but we're in Grand Cayman, we're playing Truth or Dare at 1 o'clock in the morning in the ocean during a lightning storm, right? Truth, went scuba diving in a lightning storm. My kids are out there every single night having not drinking, partying, whatever, but having a great time, like doing adventurous things, touching a shark, petting a shark, my experiencing life at a high level comes from self-mastery. So what do you journal? You journal what your outcomes are in terms of your limiting beliefs versus empowering beliefs, what they are, what the breakthroughs are, and you write them and you review it. So on a daily basis, for example, you write down, I'm going to get myself to a peak state every day. What are my top 3 outcomes to being in peak state? I'm going to ask myself empowering questions, I'm going to utilize my physiology, and I'm going to listen to things like, I listen now, fearless motivation. Love it. Do that. And by the way, I'm not telling you, my form would be different than yours. I love the guys from Fearless Motivation. I put on Fearless Motivation, instantly gets me in state. Or I shuffle stuff from Tony Robbins. His voice, I'm so conditioned to his voice, I get in state. I'm offering Morning Mastery to you. So why did I create Morning Mastery? I created Morning Mastery, which is free, by the way, so somebody had something to anchor into every day. So what I say, listen to Morning Mastery.
Got it.
Journal your top outcomes every morning. Use your body. You feel like crap? Immediately say the name, if I say the name, it's the Alexa name, right, that's in the room. I say that, shuffle songs by Fearless Motivation. And I just start going. And I can't hear those dudes and not get going. And I get going, and I don't listen to it all the time. That's the first 5 minutes helps me break my pattern of being like, I don't feel like doing this, I just want to sleep, I'm not a big sleeper. I just want to relax, I just want to chill out, I want to think, I want to be contemplative, I don't want to take action right now. And that's what breaks through, but it's through the journaling.
Got it.
And if you don't have the journaling, Rob, it's like the gas tank on your car.
You don't know if it's empty, full, you don't know if it's...
No
Got
idea,
it.
man. You're just then subject to your amygdala and the fight or flight reflexes and all the stress and the cortisol shooting. Cortisol is the big liar. We all get cortisol. Cortisol is it's a stress hormone. It gets produced, right, when we hit stress. So, ready? Your son is going through his process trying out for the team.
Yep.
You're pretty keyed up about that, right? It's
Yep.
out of your control.
Yep.
So that's going to come in or not, and if it comes in the wrong, God willing, comes in the right way, comes in the
Where's
wrong way.
supposed to come in?
Cortisol is going to go through you at some level. It comes in a way you don't want it to.
Yep.
Is that
Yep.
fair?
Yes.
My daughter's playing a state soccer game today. Right? And that doesn't go the right way. Like, cortisol is going to shoot through me. I'm going to be sad, upset. Right? You get something. Somebody calls up. There's a misunderstanding. Then you have to deal with something. Somebody made a mistake. They make a mistake, but somebody thinks we did. Whatever. We're going to face cortisol. We're going to face stress challenges. Our journaling and following our self-mastery pattern is indispensable for driving us forward through all these things. So the success formula is process mastery, is what you do. It's by modeling the people, the experts, the others, and time blocking. They get your result, and you're following through. You're like, I'm doing all that stuff, I'm following it. That's because your self-mastery is in check. And then your influence mastery, if you're not getting the results you want, is out of whack. Those 4 steps to influence, which we have videos on, just look me up and look up 4-step influence mastery process or 5 indispensable elements. They all rack together, right? And then you go, well, I'm doing all that. Or, I'm sorry, you're doing all that and you're getting great results. Or you say, I can't get myself to even go look for something to model. Or I can't get myself to use it. You buy a great book, you can't open the page. You buy a great program, you get through the first day, you can't follow the second day. You don't do the homework. You're not doing your homework. You're not making the calls. You did it for a while. You're not all self-mastery.
And you can't change that if someone's not going to do the action step.
Well, you change it through confronting them with their self-mastery,
Got it.
but they can change. You can help them break through and see their self-mastery.
Got it.
So ladies and gentlemen, that's it. It starts with the wheels, it goes through
Incredible.
process mastery, influence mastery, self-mastery. And by the way, we could do this legit for another 100 hours. And I don't mean tell stories for 100 hours. I mean literally give content examples for 100 hours under each of those 3 categories. But any result you're getting in your life, it's because this has worked at the highest level you want it. If you're getting the result but not quite at the highest level, it's because you're maybe an 8, 9 in these areas. You're not getting the results, it's because this is a substantial challenge in one of these areas. Anything you've ever had or did have in your entire life. Great relationships or not. Great, athleticism or victories or not. Great money or not. Great career advancement or not. Great wins in legal cases you're filing. Great hamburgers on the grill or not. Everything is this formula. Every single raise money or not. Get people to volunteer with you or not. People like you or don't. All of this is that. Any final closing comments, Tom? What do you think of all this?
No, it's something I was never exposed to until I came here. It's almost 7 years now. So I've been
Hey, you want to
hearing.
know why? Because my process mastery is screwed up. I haven't written my book yet. Because my self-mastery is on that area. I'm trying to be too perfect. Because the world needs this. And so you hadn't heard about it because I haven't got my message out there. Because this doesn't exist anywhere. Nobody has this but me.
The world does need this, and for me, just sitting here, obviously I'm new to the external team, and hearing everything he just said in this setting, and I've heard bits and pieces of it along the way. There's no coincidence, obviously, that he's built what he's built, and the team that's created here. It's
And
unbelievable.
if I can say this, because sometimes...
And it's because I'm just sitting here, and I'm overwhelmed right now, and I've spent a lot of time with Sean, and I'm just kind of just sitting here like, wow, I know for me I have so much more work to do in all
And I
three
know
of these
I
areas.
have so much more opportunity.
Yeah.
We all do till the day we die.
Yeah,
Always.
bro, you're
And people go,
constantly-
look at all I built. I can tell you the thing I'm most proud of. My son played 700 baseball games. I missed 7.
Yeah, that's
My
phenomenal.
daughters played all the soccer
While
games.
this
like,
was
right,
built.
Right, and I'm not making somebody wrong if they did.
That's
because I had the
phenomenal.
blessing and the privilege to make those choices. So I had the blessing and privilege to have coaches that gave me a growth mindset, to have a family and parents that gave me a growth mindset, to encounter a guy at 16 that gave me a growth mindset, to be introduced by Chuck Burke to Tony Robbins at a certain age. So I'm not judging you if you couldn't do that, right? I had the blessing of those things along the way, but once I did, I was able to implement them in a really significant way, and I want other people to have the freedom, the ability to do the same thing, to make your choices, Tom.
The great thing about this is it gives context, not just for people that are aspiring to do better to do better, but it gives a context when you look at everybody out there that is successful at extremely high levels, and you can conceptualize why they are so as successful as they are, because you can see where their skills, where they are in the 3 different segments, where they are in mastery. Because think of the most phenomenal coaches we've had in history, right? The greatest coaches. Well, the greatest coaches, masters at process mastery, right? Because they're having all of their athletes do all the right things, right? And they're great at influence mastery because they're able to convey all of that stuff in such a meaningful and inspirational way that they get all of their players to do all of those masterful process things that they're having them do. You know what I mean? And to do all of that, they have to be masters at self-mastery because they're doing their homework, they're improving their knowledge, they're doing all the things they need to do. So it gives you a context for everybody that has been successful, and you say, wow, that's why they were so successful. That's why they were so successful. And that's why this one failed.
Yes.
That's why this great athlete I knew in high school that could have been the best football player to ever come out of New Jersey ended up doing nothing because of his own self-mastery issues.
Dude.
So it puts it all in context.
Amen, brother. Seriously, that's not like an amen. Like, I can't believe what just happened in this segment. And I think things happen for a reason. Energetically, we're doing the right thing. We have the high purpose. I'm thankful to God that we had this come together like this. This is the greatest discussion I've ever had about the results formula, start to finish, in my entire life. And Tom, you were an indispensable part of that. Rob, you were Tiffany shooting this thing. Tiffany was like pushing me to get that done as well. And I'm so grateful that this has come together, because this is the explanation of this. And by the way, I've done it many, many times, in larger group settings, and it takes a long time. Because this is like trying to explain to people that before geometry was a thing, what geometry was.
Yeah.
Before calculus was a thing, what calculus is. Like, it's like, hey, Sean's great. Like, Rob does all these great, Sean's great, like, go Sean. Like,
True.
and it's like, but
This is
why?
why, though.
But why? Like, what is it? What are you talking about? It takes a while to explain it. When I go, this is a formula. Here's the one sentence. This is a formula that helps you get any result that you want in your life and identify what all of those things are. That's what it is. But people are like, whatever. You listen to this whole thing, tell me whatever when you're done. Tell me whatever when you're done. And if you're here going, yeah, but I can't do all that, I can't learn that, you're lying to yourself. Of course you can. Watch this video 5 days in a row, and by the time you get to the 5th day, you're going to be able to start talking to people about what this is. I promise. Dude, you spent years learning geometry. You spent years learning calculus, years learning to speak respectfully foreign languages that you don't need, right? You don't need. Like, why do we learn all this stuff in school? My dream, right? I could get rich. I am rich. I get a lot richer selling this stuff to people on a high end. No doubt. I could easily put this together and make a fortune doing it. Rob Gill, do you have any doubt of that?
No doubt at all.
I made a lot of money a long
No
time
doubt at
ago,
all.
and I'm 10 times better in all these areas
No
than I was
doubt,
that.
no doubt at all. And to the point, and let me, please. So when you go to Tony Robbins events, and it is phenomenal content, phenomenal information, all kinds of influence around you because everyone's jumping, everyone's excited. Once again, when you leave, then what? Right?
And here's the...
Then what? And to that point,
Yeah.
this is where, for me, I'm excited like it's Christmas morning because here's the formula. This is it. This, to me, is the living embodiment. I've said it all the time. And I just sat here blown away over I don't know how long we've been doing this film, but just blown away at how he's able to break this down and systematize it and synthesize it and be able to be the living example of it and the proof. I mean, he's had tremendous success. The firm's had tremendous success. And by the way, I'm sitting here and I'm saying, wow, they're not even slowing down. They're like, they're trying to go to another level. And that to me is very exciting.
Because I realized, remember I said I was going to I got divorced when I was 33. Huge mistake, right? And it was a mistake because of how rapidly I didn't follow the process of mastery. There was definitely reasons that, should have been separated. Nothing terrible, great. It just wasn't easily salvageable, resolvable, right? And that's a big pain in my life. Like looking back at that mistake and some of the process that went on during that time. Looking at, I sold my first law firm. Really? And I'd begun to build it with the idea of selling it to prove all this stuff worked, and it did. But part of the sale was also my leadership wasn't there where it needed to be. And my coaching company, I made a lot of money, but I didn't scale it like Tony Robbins did because my leadership wasn't strong enough. My ability to manage and drive team, wasn't where it needed to be yet. So I'm not sitting here going, like, wow, I've arrived. Like, there's a lot of things I haven't done, man. And we bring up Tony Robbins, that guy,
Yeah,
I
it's amazing.
am endlessly impressed by the things that he has done. And he is a process mastery genius. But I do say with confidence, there's things in this formula that even him and his greatness, where he's blown me away in, all these ways in terms of assembling people and doing things. And, I listened to a video today, you should compete with your mentors. So I want to compete and challenge and say, I want to figure out ways to help people and connect some dots in ways that he hasn't yet. And he's helped more people than anybody ever in world personal development by 100x. He's unbelievable. My God, I mean, he's changed my life. And I'm like, okay, let me take that. And same thing with me. Find things that I'm not saying yet in this formula. This formula is the answer. Find distinctions I don't have in the formula and take it further. That's what this is all about. Helping people, changing. I want high school kids to know this. I don't know why we don't teach this in high school. I don't know why teachers don't understand this. We have and that's part of our life journey mission. But more importantly, have this formula for yourself. Take it, learn it, implement it, have a lifelong journey. And you're going to have pain anyway. You're going to make mistakes anyway. I was building the world up and I made a lot of dumb mistakes in my life. There were times in my life when I put myself into really difficult financial positions because of not following financial process mastery. I lost $250,000 in the stock market when I was like 30 years old. you know, was all the money I had at that point. Thank God I had a beach house or something. Blew it all, making dumb decisions. And I wasn't going to a casino. I thought I knew better. I was following bad investment advice, right? And really my own investment advice, thinking I knew better than the market. And, you know, it was crazy. We are not, this formula works. It is not about me. It's not about Tom or Rob, right? This formula works. When I follow the formula, my life rockets. When I don't, I have pain, dude, right? Massive pain. Because the rules apply to me and you and Tom and Rob and Tiffany Wyman Cameron and Tony Robbins and everybody. Tony's had his challenge, man. Tony tells an amazing story about almost going bankrupt 3 different times, I think, in his life, including not that long ago, right? Now he's there. Like, he's there and then some, and he's like hit his all-time stride. It's amazing. And this isn't like, you know, I don't make anything for this. I'm in his platinum coaching group. I'm not like friends. I think he would maybe know my name as part of the group. You know, I think he would know my name. But like, we're not friends or anything, you know, but you know, I certainly look at him as a mentor. I've been blessed to be at his house for a party. I've been blessed to be part of the Platinum Coaching Group. And this is not a lead up to that, but like, depending on when you watch this, Unleash the Power of Within's coming up to New Jersey, go to his seminars. You know, I don't have something like that I could replicate to say to get you started. There's nothing like a jump start to spend 3 or 4 days at a Tony Robbins seminar to just make the breakthrough. So go there, then come back and watch this again and more. Like, I think I have the stickiness formula, right, in the whole thing. But man, go there and go break through your limiting barriers. And a big part of it is the people around you are scared. They don't want you to change. They love you. When I was going to go to all these, you know, things I was going to do, quit my job. When I was going to go to law school, my mom, who was such an inspiration in my life, told me don't go. Don't go. You know, Aunt Barbara doesn't like being a lawyer. My Uncle Jimmy, I was going to start my own law firm, quit my job at that big law firm. He was an incredible, you know, amazing person in my life, genius. He's like, you're not ready yet. He was wrong, I was. Right, so the people closest to us love us. They want to protect us.
Yep.
They're going to often tell us not to do the things they did.
Absolutely.
To get to the places they work. 'Cause they love us and they're afraid.
Yep.
You know, right? And so that's all part of this. But that's part of self-mastery. I had to have my self-management. Go, Uncle Jim, okay, great. I didn't have to convince him. I just didn't listen to him, and I went forward anyway. And I listened to him about a lot of other stuff. I modeled a lot of other things that he taught me in my life. But for you, find your way. Sometimes the people you're within a relationship, they're going to hold on. They're like, whoa. Where's Sean going to go if this all happens? You know, what's going to happen? Where's Mary going to go if this all happens? What's going on?
I don't want to leave.
Right? No, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Not
But for all of us, no. But for all of us, we have
20
that.
years.
And for me, my own kids, it's
Create
like
200 years of generational opportunities.
But for my own kids, it's like that. So I had to check myself at times to say, go be, you know, because you want to protect those that you love. So that's what this results formula is all about. That's what it is. And I am so grateful, Tom, for you in my life. You know, and it has been an amazing journey. I feel like we're only just beginning. But, you know, without you coming in, it would never free me up to do a lot of things I've done.
Thank you, Sean.
You just are such a massive, tremendous leader and driver. And I mean that with all my heart.
Well,
Rob?
thank you for that, and thank you
Thank you.
for everything you've done for me. And I mean, this has been a tremendous growing experience for me.
Yeah, and I'm saying this on video. I owe you a lot more than you owe me, and we got a long way to go. And we're going to get there, brother. Rob,
Yes.
we talk about dancers and watch these videos, and Tom has been an awesome dancer internally in this situation. And in certain ways, the second dancer. I think in different areas, in different ways, everybody's a different role. Michael's been a second dancer in other ways. Rob, you've been the second external dancer. And I'm not kidding. And we watch those videos of creating a movement. That's what we're talking about. It's also
Yep.
TED Talk. Watch the TED Talk on creating a movement. And I am so grateful to you because I was listening to a video today and said something like, you know, a lot of people can't admire the qualities you have because they don't possess them. A lot of people don't have the strength that you have because they haven't experienced it, you know? And I really feel so thankful that you see and get this from the outside.
Mhm.
And that's hard to get. Tom gets it on the inside, he experiences it, and he's living it, and he's driving it for. I'm so thankful for that because we didn't have that before, right? And Tom did, and Michael did, and some other people did,
Yep.
you know? Bob Perry did back in the day, believed in me. But you're an external dancer, and sometimes it's hard to get that external dancer because you see me do my, you know, magic tricks and flash and pizzazz, and, you know, it's like, hey, is that real? Is it not real? Is that like, you know, kind of a magic trick? Or like, is that formula really work? Or just he's really a good talker? And like, you're seeing, experiencing it, social proofing and driving it forward.
Absolutely.
And we need that desperately. So thank you.
Thank you, by the way. And truth be told, the second I met Sean, I grabbed on and I haven't let go. He knows that. And it's probably we joke about that. But the truth is that for me, I knew, like the way the sun comes up in the east and sets in the west, that this is where I needed to be. And we're not even in the same industry. And the lessons on what works here and in other industries, including my own, it's the same formula. I just haven't had the good fortune until recently to really start learning and diving deep into this stuff. So being a second dancer was an easy thing. It was clearly my life's purpose, and I think everything that happened in my life led to that moment. And that's why it was a natural fit for me.
And we have a mastery movement going, and you know, this is going on Callagy website. We teach these things internally to our lawyers. Go find some law firm where they teach these things. This isn't like I give a motivational speech. We train people on how to do these things, bring about results, have process mastery, influence mastery, self mastery, the results formula in a different way, and the results have been remarkable, truly remarkable, and we're not stopping. Thank you for listening. It's been an awesome day. I'm Sean Callagy, Tom LaGreca, Rob Gill, Tiffany. Thank you so much for driving this process forward. Have an awesome day. Please understand what this is. Call us, contact us, 201-261-1700. Our headquarters here in Paramus, 201-261-1700 with any legal problem you have. Like, does this sound like a lawyer talking? This is what we're talking about brain, but I think it's what a lawyer should sound like. Have an awesome day. Thank you.